Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels, and I am really excited today to have my guest on, which I'm going to be introducing in a quick second. We're going to be talking about something that I love. It's all about stones, it's all about vibration, it's all about energy, and it's all about how we can keep well in traditional and non-traditional ways. And a lot of times we are thinking about our health, but we might not always be thinking about our environment. So we're going to have a very interesting conversation today to talk about how we can maintain the balance of our energy in our home, in our workplace, and in our life. And that sort of ties into let me introduce everyone again to what JCooperTravels talk show is all about. I started this last year as a travel consultant because I love traveling around the world, and then COVID happened. So we sort of had a pause. So as a result of that, with JCooperTravels, it was rebranded where it's now about stories about people and what they're doing, both professionally, career-wise, personally, spiritually, everything, and how we can use all this wonderful information to help ourselves in our own lives. Because we travel in so many different ways, in so many different paths. So on my social media, both Alignable, LinkedIn, Facebook, I meet a lot of wonderful people, and I love hearing their stories and learning what they're doing. I personally have career switched many times, and I'm open to a lot of different career and entrepreneur possibilities. So I love having different guests on the show. Today, I have on Joyce, and I connected with her on Alignable, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about what she's doing, how she got started in it, because she also lives in an area I haven't been able to explore yet. So I'm super excited talking to her about, her state and what she's doing there. But Joyce, how are you doing today? Nice to have you on.
I'm well, Jacqui. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, sure. So why don't you go ahead and share the name of your business. For those that might not be familiar with talk shows, in the block below will be the contact information. So you can reach out to Joyce, you can talk to her about what she's doing and connect with her, depending upon what your needs are. And so Joyce, what is the name of your business and how can people reach out to you?
The name of my business is Majestic Terra. And they can reach out to me by going to majesticterra.com or majesticterra8@gmail.com.
All right. And all that information will be in the block below. So if you don't have a paper and pen, you can definitely come back to JCooperTravels and find the information and reach out. So I know that your business got started because of your story. So why don't you go ahead and share with everyone how you navigated into this area and why it's so important to you?
Thank you, Jacqui. Back in 2008, my husband had gotten sick. After the doctor's visit, he was told he had recurring mono. He was a truck driver, and he was told to come off the road for a month until he got better. During that time, he wasn't getting better. He was getting worse. Going back to the doctor again, because at this point, he's sleeping 16 hours a day. He would get out of bed, be up for a half hour, and then be back in bed again. Another trip to the doctor revealed that he had recurring mono. 6 months, he's out of work, and he's not getting any better. He's getting worse. So on a fluke, he happened to be watching TV and a talk show came on. And there was this comedian who had suffered from mercury poisoning from eating sushi for 20 years of his life. So when he started describing his symptoms, my husband went, "That's me." So then he started looking into where the mercury could possibly be coming from. His research led him to the amalgam fillings in his teeth, which are the silver ones, and they are 50% mercury, and they are still used today. He had 10 of them. He had a childhood friend who had a health store, and she had him go into the store, and she started him on a protocol, which consisted of detoxing with a foot bath ionizer, taking broken cell chlorella, and take a vitamin C and take a vitamin D. And then he started getting better, and he did get well enough to go and find a desk job. She then told him about a dentist that she knew of who could safely remove the mercury fillings, because there's a process that needs to be done. They need to put a dam in the back of your throat, a boot around the tooth, and then give you oxygen so you are not inhaling or ingesting any more of the mercury. So he had that done. He had some done, not all of them. And then he was getting even better. Well, then he went back to have the other ones removed and was only going to have like the bottom or the top or something. And he told the dentist, he said, you know what? I'm sick of this. Just take them all out. So the dentist took them all out. And once again, then there again, he started getting better. Well, during his research, one of the things that we found out was that the American Dental Association had a gag order on dentists that they could not say that the fillings were toxic or they could lose their license. The dentist who removed his fillings, as a matter of fact, told him he could not put it into his record that they were making him sick. But when we found out this information, we went, okay, well, what else don't we know? And at that time we started doing a bunch of research, and it was like Pandora's box just flew open, and we just were revealed to all this information about how toxic the world that we live in really is. It was at that point that we had decided that we needed to go ahead and take care of our health. That when he went to his doctor and told his doctor that he thought he had mercury poisoning, the doctor literally laughed at him. So it was like, you know, for us, Western medicine was failing us. If we wanted to maintain our health and we wanted to continue to be healthy, we knew that we had to do it ourselves. So then we started taking steps as far as our food, switching everything to organic. And we did that slowly, switching our cleaning products, our beauty care products, our personal hygiene products. We got a Berkey to filter our water, even though we have well water, because we learned how toxic even the groundwater can be from chemtrails and pesticides and things like that. So that's where we started. And it was in 2012 that we finally got everything organic and everything in the house cleaned up. So that actually took 2 years to do.
And
so
how's he doing right now?
Oh, he's excellent.
Good.
He's excellent. You know, once we changed everything, it was like then his health, you know, not only increased by 100%, but it was like 150%. You know, he's 62 now and he's running circles around me.
That's great to hear. That's really great to hear. I know that I definitely believe in acupuncture. I definitely believe in, you know, eating organically and watching what we're, you know, drinking, as well as, you know, everything else that can possibly be. I know that it sometimes takes baby small steps, because
Yes.
It's really hard sometimes to switch over, you know, to become plastic free, to become, you know, just there's so many things with that we take for granted that when we try to transition over, it's a slow process. Now you have created a business, and you share your knowledge of various things in your business. So what kind of products or services or supports do you provide?
Thank you, Jacqui. It's a really good question. You know, you mentioned the baby steps. So that's one thing that I do is I help people go through those baby steps, because it can be very overwhelming to just change out your whole lifestyle from what you've been used to. So I guide people through that process. Like you, I looked at different modalities. Another thing that I did is I found out how loosely regulated the beauty care industry was, that they use approximately 18,000 chemicals. Out of those 18,000, approximately 5,000 are toxic. They're carcinogens, meaning they cause cancer. They disrupt the hormone system. They disrupt our gut microbiome, which is 80% of our immune system. Also the reproductive system and the nervous system. And anything you put onto your skin absorbs into your bloodstream within 26 seconds. So, and they don't have to label everything. When I found out that they don't have to necessarily put all their ingredients on their label, even organic or natural, I was taken aback, but it's part of their formula. So that's why they don't need to. So I went, well, I can't trust the beauty care industry. So I'm going to create my own skincare products because at least I know what's in them. So I did that. Never intended to start a business. I had my friends coming up to me, what are you doing? Your skin looks so good. What are you using? You know, and I'm like, well, I formulated my own skincare products and said, you want to try them? And they were like, this stuff is really good. You should sell it. And I was kind of hesitant because I don't use any fragrances. They're very earthy smelling. I have bentonite clay in my detox facial scrub, and it turns it black. You know, and we're all about the senses. How does it look? How does it feel? How does it smell? So I hesitated, but I found that there's a lot of people out there who want that. They like the fact that it has this earthy smell. So that's kind of where I started with the skincare. And then as I started gaining more knowledge about the natural vibrational frequency and the chakras, I went into creating crystal jewelry and shungite jewelry and went off onto another track. So now it's like everything that I carry pertains to a holistic lifestyle.
I definitely can understand, you know, how you kind of navigated from one area to the other because it's all interrelated. I mean,
Yes.
as you said, you know, what we put on our skin or what we eat or what we have in our environment can be positive or not positive. And it's also how we approach it too. But I definitely understand, like you were talking about in terms of the meridians. And, you know, as I mentioned, I've gone to an acupuncturist, and I know that when I'm feeling balanced, I'm less stressed. And when I am emotional, I know that I need to detox. You know, so there's a lot of different ways that, you know, people, you know, like especially from this last year, you know, with COVID being around, the pandemic itself, you know, could have been relaxing for many people because they were staying home, they were, you know, doing different things that they might not have been. But on the flip side, it could also be stressful because your schedule changes. And so, you know, it's a lot of it's how you approach things, but also different things when change happens, that can become stressful. And so sometimes, you know I have different stones in my house that provide visually just make me happy to look at. You know, I have amethyst because I love the color of the purple, even though I know that the stones also, you know, energetically might have a certain vibration. I pick different stones because of how they make me feel without me knowing necessarily the science behind it. And so I know that you were talking before we got online about one type of stone called shungite. And so I know you're wearing a stone, shungite. Where is it from? What part of the world would you find shungite?
Shungite can only be found in Russia.
Wow. Okay.
And there's various stories as far as how it came to be. One of them being that it was a byproduct of a meteorite, but it's been around for thousands of years. I'm trying to think of who it was. Peter the Great? Was it? Is that his name, Peter the Great?
It's possible. Again, even though I'm a teacher, I have to say that my memory of history is not very good.
Okay, let's just go with Peter the Great.
Okay.
He was great. He was great somehow, but he had great in his name. But he was actually in Russia, and him and his men were using shungite to purify their water because it's in the carbon family. So it's commonly used to purify the water. It's also said to contain all the medicinal properties and all the energies of all the crystals. It not only does it contain, shungite also contains pyrite and also contains clear quartz. Clear quartz is said to enhance any mineral or any other crystal that it comes in contact with to enhance that energy. So shungite, so this is actually a pyramid that I have of shungite. It's called the step pyramid.
That's beautiful.
It's also for EMF protection against the electromagnetic field, which we are bombarded by on a daily basis, you know, with all the electricity, and especially now with things being wireless, even more so in towers and whatnot. Then some people are highly sensitive. They experience insomnia. They'll have headaches. It's linked to leukemia, reproductive issues. So, everything is energy. We're energy. So when we have this other vibrational frequency coming into our body, it's doing destructive things to us. For instance, all the cells in our body should go clockwise, but because of all the EMFs that we come in contact with, it causes our cells to go counterclockwise. So what the shungite is going to do, the shungite is going to go ahead and make sure that the cells are rotating clockwise like they're supposed to. So it doesn't prevent the EMFs, but it does block it. There's I'm trying to think of maybe a molecule, let's call it a molecule, called a fullerene that's in shungite. And it's also known as a buckyball. And it looks like a ball, looks like a soccer ball, but like, the black and white parts of the soccer ball?
Yeah.
Those are hollow. So what happens is when the EMFs come at us, they go through these holes, and it's kind of like a shield. It's bouncing off into other directions rather than actually coming into our body.
So by having this in your home, and I know you have a lot of different products, uses for the shungite, what you had mentioned that you have like a flat shungite that you can put your cell phone on. You have, yeah. So what would that do with your cell phone? What would be the purpose for that?
It's going to block the EMFs from coming. You could also go ahead and like put your glass on it, and it's going to help it'll energize the water, because it isn't like considered kind of like a crystal, but it can be programmed.
So what popped into my mind while you were talking is, and I don't know if the listeners know what a Faraday box is, but it sort of sounds like a Faraday box where it can kind of prevent certain things from coming through. Is it like that?
Yes.
So are you able to explain to those that might not know what a Faraday box is, what it is? Otherwise, I'll attempt to try. Okay. So Faraday is, again, I'll have to look it up for, a more official definition. But I believe that Tesla might have actually talked about it. And it actually is like you can put electronics into this box, and it will prevent any, a perfect example would be, they've created these little Faraday pockets, books or whatever. So you can put your cell phone in or your credit cards in, and that way someone can't actually take the information off of the phone. I'm really not doing it justice. I'll have to look it up and put it in the information in the block of the talk show. But there's a lot of different scientific purposes of why those boxes have been created. So that's what the stone reminded me of. So you sell the stones on your website? Is that where people can get them?
Yes, I do have them on my website. We do have some new products, like the step pyramid is new. We also have a tetrahedron that is new. We've got these new tall pyramids that are new, that are not on the website. We have other regular pyramids. These are on our website. We've got Merkabas.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love the Merkaba. So those are on our website. With these, we only have one size right now. The plate, excuse me, is not. And then we have the worry stones. So, just sit there and play with it.
Yep.
Or even, put it in your pocket. If I can, I would like to give your listeners some tips, other tips on how they can protect themselves against the electromagnetic field.
Yeah, for sure. Go right ahead.
Thank you. So one thing, you don't want to have any electrical device near your bed. So that's clock radios, lamps, They should be at least 10 feet from your bed. Also, you don't want to have your bed or any family beds that are on a wall where a refrigerator is or a stove is, because that's a high electromagnetic field. Your baby monitor, you want that 10 feet from the child's bed. You don't want to have TVs in the room. You don't want to have game systems in their rooms. It's disruptive to their sleep. If you're going to have your phone in your room, if you're using it as an alarm, put it on airplane mode. That's going to protect you against the electromagnetic fields. If for some reason you don't do that because maybe you're a doctor or something and you're on call, again, put it 10 feet from yourself. Do not carry it on your body. I see people all the time with the cell phones in their pocket, and I'm just like, you're going to get booty cancer. You don't know what you're doing. There have been cases where people have had women carry their cell phone in their bra and landed up with cancer, and it was in the form of a cell phone. If you look at your instructions for your cell phone, there is a warning on it. Even in the phone itself, there is a warning on it as far as how far it should be from your body, and we should even be holding it in our hands. And when you're talking, please put it on speaker. I don't care if you're out in public, put it on speaker. So those are just some other tips that I have to help people protect themselves against the electromagnetic field.
A lot of what you said, I think that we have forgotten over the course of time. When the phone was first created, we were told to wear a headset, an earpiece with it, and the phones were a little bit larger, so they weren't as portable. And so we really had to think, about how are we managing the phones and everything else like that. As they've gotten smaller or changed size, I think people have kind of gotten used to them as being part of what everyone carries, and they've forgotten about the science behind the phone and also the vibration that the phone emits, because it's become a convenient tool. But again, like you said, we still have to respect the fact that it is wireless. So that means that there is energy going to it, and then energy being transmitted out of it. And so since we are also vibration, our body vibrates, then we're going to take in that information, take in that energy. And so,
right.
Again, we forget how much our body is of water. And like you were talking about in terms of like the Berkeley, the filter and everything. So water vibrates. And if you take a look at a glass of water, when there's a small earthquake, it vibrates. Well, we can see that, but there's other sound vibrations happening that we might not see, or other, waves that we might not see, but that doesn't mean the vibration's not happening. So as a result of that, everything that we do have to be as aware as we can be, and as positive as we can be, and as motivational as we can be in terms of making sure that we are taking the steps that we need to maintain and perfect our health. But like you said, it's these little steps of awareness where we put our devices in our house, how we set up things, how we turn off things, which can help, because everything in our house, whether it's the lights, whether it's the air, it's the sounds, our body just kind of absorbs it all. So right. Yeah, no, so I agree with you. It's important to kind of think about everything and not be overwhelmed by it all, but just kind of create the steps so that way you can have a positive, healthy environment. What other tips do you want to share with our listeners? But before you do, say again how they can reach you, because I want to make sure that if they have questions or if they want to get any of the things you're offering, they can reach back out to you. So what's the best way for them to contact you?
They can go to my website, majestictarot.com, or they can email me at joycewheelerspeaker@gmail.com.
That's great. So, and again, I'm just going to remind everyone that there will be a the contact information in the block below, so that way you can definitely reach out to Joyce and ask her questions and find out what, other items she has that might be able to help you with whatever your needs might be. But go ahead and share any last minute thoughts that you want to share with our listeners.
Well, I just want to comment on what you were saying about the water and about how it vibrates. And I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Emoto and his experiment with water, and how the water actually has a memory. We can program it. He had taken 2 glasses of water and he labeled one love, and he put the opposite of love on the other one. And when people would walk by, because the water picks up on our vibrations, so what we say, what we think, and what we feel. And what he found was that when he found that there were, in the one that said love, it was developing like these beautiful crystals like snowflakes. But the one that had the opposite word on was like just like this blob. And you talking about how much water we are made of, and that's why it's very important, like you said, to be positive, to say positive things, not just about ourselves, but about other people, because that not only affects you mentally, but it's also a physical thing too. We need to be kinder to each other. We need to be more understanding of each other. We need to be more compassionate to each other. We are all interconnected through this vibrational frequency. So let's just treat each other as human beings.
I agree with you. On my LinkedIn profile right now, the header says, plant kindness, harvest love. And that was a phrase that a teenager shared. And I thought it was so beautiful that it was important. So every time I open up my LinkedIn platform, I see that. Because again, if we surround ourselves with positive messages, then it seeps into our subconscious. And that is really important in terms of just how we interact with each other, how we help each other, and how we support each other. And that's why I created the talk show, because I thought, like, what you're sharing needs to be shared with others, because we never know who's going to hear this and who might need this message or information right now. So I really appreciate what you're doing and sharing your story. Again, everyone, be sure to like and subscribe to J. Cooper Travels. I know Joyce and I are going to have future conversations, as there are other stones or there are other things that she's doing. We'll have her pop on and share with everyone, so that way you can kind of learn and explore, as we go forward. So thank you, Joyce, for being on.
Thank you, Jacqui, for having me.
Sure, of course. Have a good day.